Well, good morning to you, Naledi and Desiree, as well as the viewers at home. You're a bit inaudible there at the end, but I think before we get to what's going to happen here at the Gauteng High Court, I think we do need to discuss how we got to this place in the first place. Now, you may remember the well-reported alleged disclosure of former President Jacob Zuma's health records in August of 2021. He wrote to the President Ramaphosa, to intervene in the matter. He wanted a commission or investigation or an inquiry of sorts to intervene in the alleged conduct of Advocate Billy Downer in the alleged disclosure of those health records. Now, we already understand from the presidency that the manner in which President Ramaphosa chose to intervene was that he referred the matter to the Minister of Justice, who then referred the matter to the LPC. Now, according to the JGZ Foundation, nothing happened after that. So that's where we arrived today, that over a year later, from August 2021, the president is then served with summons for failing to act in this alleged disclosure of those medical records. And we understand that it was the second nolle prosecution certificate that was issued by the NPA, which broadened the scope regarding who the former president could privately prosecute. Now, the NPA has already clarified that when it issued that certificate, it did not have any indication in the dockets that President Ramaphosa was named. Now, the day before the conference, when the summons were given to the President Ramaphosa or his team, there was a bit of an exchange between the state attorney as well as President Zuma's lawyers, former President Zuma's lawyers, stating that this matter needs to be withdrawn. The manner in which the summons have been served or summons have come about has not been constitutionally valid. Following that exchange, the Jacob Zuma Foundation, as well as former President Zuma, remained unflinching in their approach in this matter and said that we will continue. And the president had no other option but to file this urgent application. Now, in order to be granted this urgent interdict to stop the president to give any effect or further effect to this private prosecution bid, he needs about at least 4 grounds to convince the court that this is in fact an urgent matter, as it is going to sit 7 days from now, on the 19th of January, in the criminal court. We know that former President Jacob Zuma is saying that there is nothing urgent about this matter. It must be struck off the roll, and that the president can defend his case when he comes to the criminal court on the 19th. But the president's main contention in this urgent application is that if he has to go to court on the 19th of January, he's going to court on summons or on papers that have not been followed due process in issuing of them. He's also saying that as a head of state, he won't be able to perform his duties, and by extension, the public will suffer. And the fourth ground is that there is no alternative remedy other than to come to this urgent court. Now, we already know that the former president is going to be opposing this application. It's going to be a long day of arguments. I do want to bring in the JGZ Foundation spokesperson, Mr. Mzwanele, to clarify a few aspects, as we've seen in the affidavit that was filed yesterday, or the day before rather, by the president. So the president is stating that there was an intervention that took place, that when that letter was written in August of 2021, the president did respond and said, let's refer to the Minister of Justice to refer to the LPC. And this can be partly attributed to the fact that the NPA as an institution, in the past, we've seen political interference, and the president didn't want a repetition of that. What was not satisfactory about that intervention that took place with respect to the alleged disclosure of those health records?
Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers. The first thing I think that we must set the record straight is that firstly, being here today, President Ramaphosa being here today to assert his rights as an accused is first and foremost a confirmation that he has been properly served, he has been properly indicted. So he's here to exercise his Section 35 rights of the Constitution, rights of the accused. So let's tick that box. So the whole notion that there was a defect in how he was served falls off, because he's here now. And the fact that he's here, we've got 3 judges that are looking at this thing. We already have a case set. I mean, how can all that happen in defective documents? I mean, that argument is really a waste of time.
Well, let me interrupt you there, Mr. Mani. The National Prosecuting Authority confirmed that his name wasn't even in the dockets that were presented to them when they issued those certificates.
the National Prosecuting Authority lied. President Ramaphosa is mentioned in the document. In fact, even the NDPP is mentioned in the document. Even the Minister Lamula is mentioned in the document. So I can put on record for the second or third time that the NPA lied. In fact, that they did not even sustain that lie in their own affidavit when they make the affidavit in these proceedings to show that was a lie. They were just trying to cover up. In fact, what that has done, it has destroyed the credibility of the NPA even more. Here we have a National Prosecuting Authority siding with a criminally accused person when they're supposed to be neutral, when they're supposed to be objective, when they're supposed to prosecute without fear or favor. Here they are saying, this is our man. I mean, really, what kind of neutrality can you expect from NPA?
Well, there's another question of the politics at play in this matter. You, or the former president rather, files the complaint to the president in August of 2021 and waits until a day before the ANC 55th conference, which is just over a year later, to then serve the summons. The inference that could be drawn from that is that it was a bid to halt the president from his contestation for a second term. And even looking beyond that and him being re-elected, we both know that that conference reaffirmed the step-aside policy, the step-aside resolution rather, and the president has now been re-elected. But if he should be charged, what would be the implications of that? So one has to question, are there politics at play in this private prosecution bid by the former president?
Well, now that we're in the inference mode, let's draw the inference to why did the NPA, since August 2021, decide to issue this no prosecution certificate only now in 21st August 2022, 21st November 2022. So an inference can be drawn that NPA was in the first instance playing games, because a no prosecution certificate is not a certificate issued indefinitely. It's got a lifespan, and the lifespan is 3 months. Now, if you are going to issue it towards the end of the year when people are relaxed going on holiday, were they hoping that because December is dead month, January is dead month, that by the time we wake up, this thing would have expired? So that inference can be drawn on that. So from our side, we are driven by when is it that we got the no prosecution. If you are arguing that, but you got it in January, then we can have this discussion. But if you get it, I mean, like a couple of weeks, and then this thing is acted upon, so your inference is really unfounded.
Well, the direct question was, it was served a day before the conference. Were there politics at play when these summons were served?
No, definitely no politics at play. If there was any politics, President Zuma has been very clear on this, that President Ramaphosa has done a lot of things that he could have nailed him on if that was his agenda. President Ramaphosa is a person that said the ANC is accused, number one, in corruption. Now, if nothing puts the ANC into disrepute, if that doesn't put it into disrepute, nothing ever will. President Zuma could have used that to say, you've put the organization into disrepute. How can you say the organization is corrupt and all of that? So President Zuma, because he's not a malicious man, he didn't do that. Here, we are forced by two things. Firstly, the date of issue. Secondly, the expiry of these things. So as to when things eventually comes to the wash, it's a subject of how quickly the lawyers can do stuff. So we can't blame that on anyone.
And lastly, just quickly, the grounds upon which you'll be opposing this application, you believe that the president should defend his case on the 19th in a criminal court, but you're not worried about the optics of a head of state being hauled before a criminal court, appearing before the dock, in a matter that appears that the president is arguing that these summons were not issued correctly?
No. What we have here, we have a person that wants everything else, all the laws not to apply to him. We have a president here that wants to undermine Section 9, Subsection 1 of the Constitution that says we're all equal before the law. His Excellency President Mandela has been in court and the sky didn't fall. Why is it? What's different with President Ramaphosa? Here we have a person, the court today is being asked to shield Mr. Ramaphosa from accountability. The court here today is asked to block the private prosecution. The court here today is being asked to block President Ramaphosa from having his day in court on the 19th, where he can explain all of these things. All the issues that he's raising here today, he can raise on the 19th.
All right, thank you very much. That was the JG Foundation spokesperson, Mr. Mzwanele Mani, just explaining why they'll be opposing this application, saying that it's neither urgent and the president can defend his case in 7 days when he has to, or if he has to appear in the criminal courts. SABC News will be giving you those live updates when proceedings begin at 10 a.m. Over to you in studio.